It is 12:05. There are 5 of us. That's okay, right?
Yep.
James, I didn't get the questions though.
I've got it. I can sort of
Okay.
get, so let's see here. So, well, first of all, does everybody know everybody here? I know some people know. I think we got, I mean, it's short enough that we can just do a quick go around. My name is James Baumann. I am the Director of Publications for ACUHO-I, and I'm also serving as the professional staff leader for the Small College Network. This is a new sort of reborn network made official this year. And so I will be helping out with a lot of the logistics and behind the scenes things. As I say many, many times, the only thing I know about campus housing is what I have learned from editing the talking stick. Now, I have done that for like 16 years now, so I've learned a few things, but you are all the experts. So my job is to do whatever I can to facilitate the sharing of information and let you all work to support each other. And then I will turn it over to Beth, who is the chair of the group.
So hi everybody, I'm Beth Ackman. I'm at SUNY Morrisville, which is in central New York. And yes, we have snow right now and I'm loving it for the ones that were just jumping on and listening to my winter stuff. So this has come from, I was part of a team for small colleges and universities and Robin was on it with me. So hi Robin, you're one of my favorite people. So what's happened is we have now decided, it's been decided by ACUHO-I that we're going to be able to move forward with this committee. So I'm chairing it, and what we're looking to do is have every 3 weeks, monthly meetings. We're looking to bring back, they were very helpful before when we would have them. We would have monthly meetings with anybody that wanted to join from a small college or university, which is 2,500 beds or less. So if you have partners out there that want to join, feel free. And it's just a check-in to see how everybody's doing. Sometimes it's what's going on in your life. I used to love one thing from my predecessor, which was Drew, which is tell me one good thing that happened this week in your life. Trying to keep, the positive, because we can all tell all the problems that we have, right? So trying to keep it positive, and then also like filling each other in on stuff. So it's been really helpful during COVID. Like, how are you doing opening? How is it going with guest policy? What are the new COVID policies at your college? Because different states are doing different things. Like I'm in the state of New York. Do I have to say anymore? And some of you are in other states where it's maybe not as restricted. We'll just put it that way. So those are very nice. And then we also did a small college symposium last year. We're looking to do another one this year. It was a really great half-day professional development for your staff. We're trying to talk to some awesome people to be a keynote, things like that. Would love any input from you guys. And then just talking about other ways to do, like, to get it out there so that small colleges and university professionals can chat, meet, discuss things. Do we want to do a book club? Do we want to do like different things? Okay. So today is just our very first monthly meeting, monthly gathering, monthly chat, whatever you want to call it. Grab a coffee, grab your lunch, whatever time zone you're on, and let's chat. So I'm going to turn it over to Robin because I know Robin the most out of this whole group. So.
Thank you, Beth. Again, Beth mentioned my name is Robin Gagnow. I serve as the Residence Life Operations Manager for Baldwin Wallace University, which is outside of Cleveland. We're really close to the airport, which is kind of nice if you have to do any traveling. As Beth mentioned, we sat on the small school expert panel for the past year, working under Drew. And so I'm excited to be part of this group. Beth has always had a lot to share and a lot of information, so I'm looking forward to that. So thank you. And I will popcorn it over to Linda.
Hi, I am actually not the housing director. The housing director reports to me, but it's been vacant since August, so I've been sitting in the residence halls doing all of that wonderful stuff. So we are a Big Bend Community College. We are in the middle of the state of Washington in Moses Lake. We are very small. I have less than 100 beds occupied, but I do have 273 beds. And I believe I did attend the symposium for the small colleges last year. I love Northwest ACUHO and ACUHO-I. And the really great thing that happened to me this week was I was trolling on Costco, and they actually had an 8-piece extra long twin comforter set for $29.99. And I put the call out around the college because it was limit 2, and I had 15 people order me ones through the college. So I have 30 sets coming. Yay.
That might be the most small college thing I've ever heard.
Oh. And I'll pop it over to Melini. Am I saying that correct?
Yes, you did. So my name is Melini Sam, and I am at Rider University, which is it's between Trenton and Princeton in New Jersey. No one knows where Lawrenceville is. So it's between Trenton and Princeton. And we are a small school of approximately 4,000 undergraduate students with a on-campus pre-COVID population of about 2,300 students. And I am the assistant director for housing operations. I have been a part of ACUHO-I since 2007 at my previous institution, which was not a small college. I did serve on the conference services committee for a short period of time as well, enjoying and have been to many, many ACUHO-I conferences and love and the housing ops conferences as well, and love the association and love the connections that we make. And then I am not sure where the popcorning started, so if you've not introduced yourself yet, can you raise your hand and then I'll popcorn over to you? All right, Pat. All right, Pat's raised a hand first, so I'll popcorn over to Pat.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Pat. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm one of the area coordinators with Champlain College in Burlington, Vermont. And I've been a part of ACUHO-I since September, since my director signed me up. So I'm just excited to get to know different folks. And I will popcorn it over to Glenn.
So my name is Glenn Richards. I am the Director of Residence Life and Student Life at Jackson College, which is a small community college in Michigan. I have been involved in ACUHO-I as a member since 2014, when I started my journey in higher ed and housing at a small college in southeastern Ohio, but made my way back up to Michigan, where I'm from. And now worked my way up to the director position.
Where were you in southeastern Ohio?
Marietta.
Okay.
Marietta College.
That's what I was going to guess.
Yeah. There's not
Okay.
too many small
So
colleges.
you and Robin can be civil to each other. Let's hope.
I mean, yeah.
And Ezra, did you go?
Not yet. Hi, everybody. My name is Ezra. I use they, them pronouns. I'm also an area coordinator at Champlain College in Burlington, Vermont. So I am colleagues with Pat. And shout out, thank you to Pat for making me aware of this happening today. I'm also relatively new to ACUHO-I. I joined in September as well. And yeah, excited to meet folks.
You guys are in perfect location for skiing, but just putting that out there. Sorry. I'm all about winter sports right now, so I apologize. You guys can ignore me for the people from the South, which don't really know if there's anybody from the South right now. So James, do you want to let us know what questions were put out there?
Yep. So this is sort of a unique phone call, perhaps, for some of the ones that we'll have throughout the rest of the year. But as we're kicking things off, we're sort of in that in between of we're wanting to start the group and really grow it. And that will take place through a number of different opportunities. And so today is sort of a little bit about, we want to save some time certainly for you to talk about what's happening on your campuses, but also, as Beth sort of alluded to early on, that idea of the fact that there will be a small college symposium happening on April 20th this year. Registration for that will open at the beginning of March. We do everything we can to make it affordable and accessible, regardless of your budgets. There are team pass opportunities. So it's a really good chance to bring everybody together and take a half day of professional development. We've discussed the idea of having a small college place dedicated within the ACUHO-I online community, if we thought that there was interest in that. Suggestion of projects like a book club. There are also various other options throughout the course of the year where they are not necessarily small college focused, but we want to have the small college and university voice being heard. So some of those would be, for example, during TPE, the placement exchange. Hopefully you're familiar with that. Just getting some feedback into as things like the annual conference and some other events are being planned to make sure that small college situations are represented within there as well. Selfishly, from my point of view, as the director of publications, making sure that small colleges are represented through in the stories that we publish in the Talking Stick, in the journal, etc. So in regards to all of that, I would say, the Small College Symposium is sort of, I looked at a calendar and I realized that how close April is to February. So I didn't sleep much that night. But anyway, that's something that we can spend as much or as little time on right now as we want, because I think that's something that we could then, have further conversations offline about that. But we're always open for suggestions for topics that are pain points. I think if we, took some time and just people were sort of sharing some of their experiences and what are those challenges that they're facing on their campus, that some program topics may emerge from those conversations relatively organically. So with all that being said, again, I don't want to necessarily dictate which direction we go, but Beth, what are you feeling? Do we think that this is a time to open it up for just sort of life on our campus?
Sure. And Stephen, would you like to introduce yourself since you joined us?
Yeah,
just so
thank
everybody
you.
knows where everybody's from.
Yeah, sorry, I was doing a dawn interview, so it just ran a little over time. But thank you for inviting me and letting me join. My name is Steve Prentice. I work at the University of Waterloo in one of our affiliated residences. So we're a smaller campus within a larger campus ecosystem. We've got about 450 students living with us and about 600 or so taking classes through the University of Waterloo. So it's a little bit about my background. So I don't know if there was other points that I should hit there. But.
Nope, that's perfect. And Dan, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself or not. So hi Dan.
Hi, I'm from Truman State University. I'm the Residence Life Coordinator for Operations and Systems.
Welcome. So how about we just talk about what's going on your campus? Do you have questions for other people that you would love to get their input on how they're handling it? Is there anything for the symposium that you would really like discussed? Things like that. I would love to get as much input from others so that it's what would be the best and it would have the same response it had for last year, because like Linda, I really enjoyed it. My staff did it as a professional development. It was a very quick, easy half-day professional development for my staff. And being from a small college, we all know how budgets work. So anything going crazy or you want to talk about or you want to vent about, or what do you got?
Well, so I'll bring it up now because, head deep into room changes and before we start room selection. So I would love to hear about room changes, and especially at small colleges and, you know, post the pandemic and students just everybody wanting a single because everyone's immunocompromised and has stress and anxiety and needs a single and doesn't want to pay the cost of a single, but wants a single still. So I would love to hear, you know, how other institutions are just managing room change processes, like what types of systems they're using and what type of, you know, communication, what language, you know, while still being really polite and nice and saying no. Some, you know, like I can't pull 900 singles out of my 2,300 beds, but you know, just that type of support and feedback, and being able to, I think, share some ideas of how other people are managing that kind of requests, those kinds of requests.
So first you have to get a Harry Potter wand. No, I'm just joking.
I need the
I'm
Game of
laughing
Thrones. I
because
think I'm more Game of
literally
Thrones.
in this. I literally had a similar conversation about this like 5 minutes ago. So yeah.
So we use the same communication that we used pre-COVID, which one mom questioned me on. And I said, ma'am, we're still using the same information. Open move is open move. We give your child a period of time in case they're not working it out with their roommate. We do have more singles on campus than we had pre-COVID, but we are starting to go down to what our traditional rooms used to be like. And having that conversation and explaining that, like, because your child is asking for a single or for a split double with a wall, that they are asking for an accommodation, and there's normally a cost with an accommodation. And as long as there's not an accessibilities need, I cannot help them accommodate. So that's kind of how I get away from going into the deep hole of you're not helping me and you're not giving me the answer I want. So we have an open move email that I'm literally sending out tomorrow. And it says consolidation, open move, blah, 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 blah. I have a singles wait list because we're starting ours tomorrow. So if anybody would like that email, I can send it to you. But it's our basic email we've always sent about open move consolidation. And we explain that you cannot buy out a whole apartment to yourself, and you cannot buy out a split double. And when people are like, why can't I buy it out? I go, do you understand that if you buy out an apartment, you have to pay for all 4 of those spots? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, well, we can't afford that. I'm like, no kidding. Like,
that's why we don't offer it.
That's why we don't put you up for that kind of a failure. Because if you're spending that much money on your college education, go get an apartment off campus. Like, tell me you need to be released from housing. I mean, we do have a 2-year live-on commitment, but like, that's how we've been around it. Is I'm just saying it, like, and if a student says to me, well, I need it for accessibility purposes, then I direct them to the accessibilities office. And if the accessibilities office calls me and says, Beth, this person needs it for this reason, then I'll do the normal protocol. But if it's just, I want a single because I don't know if my roommate is vaccinated or unvaccinated or testing during the surveillance testing or whatever the reason be, you know, and right now open move is open move, which means we don't have to know why you want to move. If we have the spot available and you want to pay the difference or move, you can move. And no, we're not letting you rent our van to move yourself and things like that. Because that's the next question is, well, you're going to make my student move. I'm like, no, I'm not making them. They asked. Well, then you have to move them. Nope, they asked. So I kind of just answer the same way I did pre-COVID. I know it sounds crazy, right?
Yeah, like I am the same thing. I'm working, so I send out an email saying like we're going to process room changes starting this week, and I'm sending out after this meeting my current vacancies email to all the students that have a current vacancy within their bed, like their apartment and or suite or double bedroom, that they could receive a roommate based on the fact that they have a vacant room. So they should probably uncouple the beds, the queen that they have made themselves, so that, you know, they can start to accept roommates. And we are very transparent too. Like in my current vacancy email, I do say we have over 100 room changes. And so, you know, at this time, we're not allowing any students to opt into buying out the other side of their room. Now, if, you know, if I have enough and I want that extra money, yes, sure. We will allow you to buy the other side of the a standard double bedroom for an additional cost, but we also don't do the apartments and suites. So we don't allow them to buy out those kind of spaces.
So Dan, you said you just had a conversation about this. How did it go?
Yeah, so this is something that we have been talking about a while, with singles and how a lot of people want singles, and how it relates to gender inclusive housing as well. And so it's an ongoing discussion regarding that issue. But in regards to immunocompromised, it was just it's just a hot buzzword that has come, and some people are, and some people aren't, and it's just something that has come up as a word that likes to get thrown around a little bit too much, I think, lately. So yeah, that's where we're at. But I did have another question that's unrelated to this, and I don't want to veer it away from your topic.
I mean, go ahead and ask. We can always come back to whatever topic people want to talk about.
Okay. So one of the topics I'm working on is researching master key storage and use, and how we're allowing or not allowing people to use master keys among residence life staff. And so I'm trying to find a system that's cost effective, that will store the master keys and have it be in a secure place for use by residence life staff. And I've heard of key track and handy track and all sorts of different things. So I'm interested in hearing what's used on your campuses, and if it has been an issue as well.
Do you have a fob system, Dan, or is it physical keys?
So for our front exterior doors, we use our card access. And then for the rooms, we use hard physical keys.
So I can certainly say, at my current institution, our master keys are on a 2x4. So they don't get lost. Our CAs have to walk around with a 2x4 with the master keys. My previous institution, which was not a small college, they did use the Morse Waxman access control. So the master keys were in a box, and the CAs would receive a code so that they can take out the master key within the building that they live in. So depending on your budget, Morse Waxman does have a couple different options. And trust me, I have brought that up 27,000 times here. So it is on our list, all things. But I do know that working with the system itself and working with OIT, who networked it for us at my previous institution, that it's a very successful system and very user-friendly and also very secure for the master key process.
My concern with the reason why this is coming up is because we don't want to have people carrying around a $10,000 key and have to go through recourse if we don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, we use it's called a first alert safe.
Okay.
It's a combination safe where you can program it. And so each RA would get a code, so we would know who went into the safe.
That's the.
And then the only people that have master keys would be the professional staff.
Right.
And during breaks, we pull all master keys out of the residence halls. So we only allow, well, over breaks, only safety and security has access to allow students back in.
Okay.
So we try to make sure that that if anything disappears or gets damaged, they can't say, well, you have staff that have keys. So no, they don't.
We have old school lock boxes. I'm not even gonna lie. But so the RAs have access to their lockbox, so they can have access to a room key. If they need a master key, the RDs are the only ones that are able to get the master keys, and the RA and RD offices are separate. So the RD master keys are the building key is in the RD office at all times, because I do not want it walked around. And yes, it's on lots of random things. One of them actually has it attached to a Yeti cap, I found out the other day. So they're attached, the master keys are attached to like very awkward big things. So that way when they're locked in their desk, they don't get locked in their desk. The students are, any RA is not allowed to have them. And then what happens is during our bigger break, like the summer break, all the keys come over to Res Life and get locked up in, not all the keys, verification, all master keys and RA keys and RD keys and all that get locked up in the lockbox in our office. The room keys, we just lock the box and bring that key over to Res Life. We are looking at getting the safe alert, the first alert safes, similar to what Robin has for all the residence halls for the room keys. And then we're trying to figure out if there's a smaller thing we can do for RDs. The thing we don't want to do is move master keys out of the RD buildings when school's in session, because I don't want them coming to Res Life to sign out a key to then take it to their building and somehow lose it in between the two locations. So we're trying to still keep the master keys in the buildings when school's in session. Now I'm imagining a list of all the large awkward things that the school colleges have attached to master keys. Oh, it's very awkward. And I have been in the field longer than probably I want to admit. And I can think of many things that have been added to master keys, including myself when I was at a small private, my very first job, and what those master keys were on, because it was literally one of those old school like paddles that you would think for like fraternity life. And I felt very awkward walking around with this paddle. And people would sign it, like the RD signed it from year to year of what year you were in that building. And we had animals for some of our halls. So there was like a sticker of that animal on the paddle of that hall. Yeah, so that was my first experience with master keys. And the paddle was like, probably like 1.5 feet long. We also added a tile to each. Tile would work too, yeah. So anyways, there's lots of things I was shocked when I saw the Yeti cap, but hey, you really can't lose these. Like, they kind of are annoying. So, but
sorry, I was going to say, Dan, we recently updated like everything to a fob system. It is obviously cost prohibitive, but there are a lot of benefits to that type of model if you can afford it. And we kind of did it over the past decade, and we're still going through it with certain rooms. So even our master, like all our masters and everything is based around that. We obviously have physical keys still in the back room that only professional staff can access, but it's very helpful. We found a pretty cost-effective way to do it that allowed, I think it was Salto, and it attaches to the existing lock system. So we didn't have to take anything out or replace it. And it basically just goes in, and then the fob taps and it allows it to turn the deadbolt. And then there's other types of access points, but it's very effective for being able to remove access levels and also to be able to monitor access, like who's coming and going from certain places, which has been useful in conduct situations as well. So just kind of wanted to throw that out. I'm certainly happy to pass around what we used. I think Salto is in most of the world and all over, but there's probably models like that. So I can share if you're looking for any specifics around that.
Do you have fobs on your rooms too?
We do, yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Just yesterday, I was editing a story where they were talking about the growing use of those sort of enterprise systems, and Smart Rent was the name of one company that came up. And it seems, from the little bit I looked around, it seems like it could work on a campus, but it's also, if you're an apartment manager or something, that you would use a system like this.
Because our swipe access, the RDs have a certain access versus the student, and we can track the swipes that way, but it would be cool to be able to track room access, and shutting off room access instead of having to track a student down to find a hard key probably is much easier.
Yeah, it's well worth it, I think. And I think there's probably more solutions that are coming out now. So you probably can shop around, and there might be some more cost-effective models. And even when we went through it over the past 10 years or so.
Perfect. So Dan, I don't know if that helped you with new things to add to your master keys and also maybe new technology to use for your masters.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, it's a project I'm researching different options. So the more input that I have is better, and it'll help me to craft a better proposal. So thank you everyone for your input.
Is there any topics you guys want at the small college symposium? Like, is there something that you think we need to talk about that would affect like all small colleges? That we could have a couple of people that are experts on come and talk to y'all?
This is my first time kind of joining this type of call, and it's really exciting to talk to other people that kind of understand the institutional challenges that we face. So I apologize, maybe a lot of you have already talked about this in past meetings or other things, but one of the things I'm always interested in is organizational structures, like how many, how do you structure your resident staff? How many dons or residence advisors do you have to students, and RLCs or residence life managers, or kind of the organizational structure component? And how do we differ from larger institutions that enables us to maybe be more successful working with students because we're more agile, or do we get bogged down because there's so many tasks with a smaller number of staff and less specialization in certain roles? So I'd love to chat about that more with anyone that's interested. Yeah, more with less. and what's that effect in terms of staff burnout as well? Because I know that's a conversation happening all over with student affairs staff.
Just to add on what Steve mentioned is, one of the things I've noticed over the years is it's harder and harder to fill those small school positions, like the assistant director roles or the director roles, through the fact that they're not getting the same type of financial, let's say, rewards at smaller schools as they get in larger schools. I notice that because I'm sort of looking right now. And so when I'm looking at other smaller schools, it's like their salaries are just, I don't know. How can we, I think what I'm trying to say is, how can we entice people to look at smaller schools and realize that they're not going to get the same salaries? What are all the benefits?
Right. That's something we are very transparent about at Truman, and it's true. Our positions when we post them are not in the same ballpark even as others, but we try to compete. We have we try to show that we're a community. We try to stress the importance of professional development opportunities and what we can do with mentoring and coaching. So, I mean, it's a challenge for sure.
Beth, did you participate in that TPE session about small colleges last year?
Yeah, I think Robin was in it with me, to be honest, maybe not. So we had some young professionals that were part of it, and it went very well. I thought.
I think I attended that.
Did you?
Yeah.
So I thought it went amazingly well, but I ended up talking with like 4 candidates afterwards that were like just wanting to know about resume building, stuff like that, because they all came from small colleges and universities. They wanted to keep their field small colleges and universities. I have had a love for small colleges and universities since I started. I am one of those people. And yes, the compensation and stuff is not there. What I always tell people is that, sorry, Pat raised his hand. Oh, so go ahead, Pat.
No, if you had something to say, I think you're doing great. I just have something I can add after.
So anyways, I talked about like understanding, like when you come to the campus, you need to actually visit small colleges and university campuses, because you can't just like assume, because like we're in the middle of nowhere for Morrisville. So I never like remote conversations. I never like remote interviews. I pushed very hard to be one of the first people to have on-campus interviews during COVID, because these people are living here and I don't want them to just come and be like, On the computer, on the phone, it says we're 5 hours from New York City, 45 minutes from Syracuse. But what does that really look like? Okay, we have more animals, and I mean not humans, because some people think I'm like joking when I say animals. We have more animals on campus than we have students, meaning cows, horses, sheep, rabbits. We're an ag culture school. So that's what I mean. I don't mean that I'm calling my students animals. Can't tell you how many times that's been mistreated. So I want them to come. The other thing is I learned from my old boss, who was my very first supervisor in Res Life, that the apartment is your home and you're there 24/7. And that you do not want, I hate this word, so please bear with me, dorm furniture as your living room furniture and your bed furniture. So as a supervisor, you should always make sure to not have dorm furniture. God, that word drives me insane. Dorm furniture in the RD apartments. So one of the very first initiatives I did here is one, you always get your own mattress when you start at Morrisville. I think it's weird that it's like, let's do the shuffle of the mattress and you can sleep on, ew. The other thing is, and Robin's heard this speech from me before. The other thing is I made sure they all got like nice furniture. Like we went to Raymore and Flanagan. I had a couple of RDs go with me and we've moved that furniture along. So I think it's important that, yes, we're a small private college or a small state college or whatever university college you are that's small, but remember that like your staff is important. They picked to come work with you. Let their environment be as positive as possible, but also always be very honest that when you walk through the door, you don't just get to be an RD. You will have multiple hats, and tell them that from the beginning, because that has helped with not having a burnout. I'm not going to lie, Morrisville's salary compensation is actually decent when you look at other small schools. So that does help me. And also you don't have to have a master's, but other schools, that's not the same thing. Like they're expecting masters with very low salaries. So would I love if we ever had an organizational structure chat to get all of us on the same page? Yes. But Pat, go ahead. Sorry it took so long.
No, you're fine. And you touched on what I was just going to share. So I'm in my first like entry-level student affairs role, and I currently am working on my master's. I don't have it. And I think that like, while I can't speak for trying to fill director or AD positions at small colleges and universities with low salary compensation, I can say like, while my salary might not be competitive, I was able to get a master's preferred position without a master's degree. And beyond that, I am getting way more opportunity for professional development and working on projects that are more impactful than folks that I know who are in entry-level positions up the hill at the University of Vermont with 10,000 students. Like what I do with my day is just so different, and who I'm able to interact with and make connections with is so different. So I think really highlighting the professional development for entry-level positions is great, because I'm whenever I choose to move on to something else, I've been able to gain a really comprehensive portfolio of experiences, even just within a year of being an area coordinator, just because of the level at which I'm able to move through a small institution versus a large institution.
And Pat, I love one thing you said, because a lot of times young professionals coming in think the only professional development that they get is going to a conference. And I think that's one thing that small schools can do without having to go to a conference, is partnering up with a different area. Like I have an RD that's partnered up with conduct. I have an RD that's partnered up with DEI. I have an RD that's so they're doing stuff that is building their resume, and they're not leaving campus. Like they're on the health task force for Morrisville, and we have a SUNY rep on our campus, which is awesome. And I don't know, I love that you said that, because sometimes people don't think professional development is within their own realm. They think they have to leave the campus to get professional development.
Having the opportunity to be able to say, what is this? I would like to work on it, is as a project to my like supervisor, my director, my assistant director, is like been one of the coolest experiences for me. And so I think that's something that small colleges have that I don't think you get at a larger institution, is that there's too much bureaucracy, and that gets in the way of expanding.
Versus we just need everybody's hands in so we can get it done. But yeah, I think that's a really important thing. Also, one of the things I can always tell my staff is you don't have to have a master's to come here. You have to have a bachelor's, but you can be compensated and do your master's for free, which I didn't do, which was like one of the dumbest things I never did in my educational career was work at a college where I could do my master's. Like, I don't know why I didn't do that. But that's one thing I always tell the staff is like, look at your master's while you're here. What other professional things can you do? Can you do a certificate? ACUHO-I has a ton of certificates at very reasonable cost. There's also like your local state representation stuff, like what can you do there? So it's just marketing it, but we can definitely talk about it. And yeah, staff burnout is a big thing. So something I'm reading right now, and I don't know if anybody else is interested, is, and if you are watching Facebook Student Affairs Moms or it's not the young professional one because I'm not in that because my RDs are in that, but there's another like mid-level maybe, but it's creating sustainable careers in student affairs. I'm going to give a shout out for this book. She is a faculty at UB. Amazing book. I'm halfway through, but others have been talking about it. I'm a book nerd, so I apologize. Like I read every day. I love books. Another book that I was working on because of SUNY Legal. So we have SUNY Legal sends us recommendations, is The Sexual Citizen, and it's sex, power, and assault on campus. So I don't know if conduct is your cup of tea, but it's kind of an interesting book too. I can put both of them in that. But oh, Pat, you're reading that? Which one? This one?
Yeah, Sexual Citizens. I'm reading it for class.
This one.
Yeah.
So I finished this one over winter break. It's really good. It gives you a different perspective on Title IX and conduct. Not that people want to know about Title IX and conduct, but you know, whatever. Some people, it's not their cup of tea. I feel like if I don't pay attention to it with my role, I might get in a little bit of trouble. And then this one has been really awesome. Beth is a book nerd. Yes, I am a book nerd. Robin knows this. If I turned my computer around, you'd see all my, I even let my RDs borrow them because, yeah. And if you ever see me at a ACUHO-I conference, I'm probably sitting there with my phone on Amazon ordering books that the people are talking about during the presentations. And my husband always knows when I'm on a conference or I'm on a call like this, because all of a sudden Amazon just starts delivering to our house a whole bunch of books. So I have 2 more books to read and then I'm actually caught up, which he is shocked about. Ooh, what's that book? The Wisdom of Teams. Where is that book? Who is the author? I'm going to find it.
I appreciate all these book recommendations because I'm trying to build a little bit of a library for my student staff and for my new professional staff in particular. I guess part of my question around organizational structure is I'm trying to engage them more with these types of opportunities to connect with colleagues, network so they can find future jobs as well and be able to move on into hopefully senior roles eventually. So I really appreciate all these book suggestions.
Okay, so a really weird book that I love, so please don't judge me, but it's kind of a woman empowerment book, and I'm trying to see if I can find it so I don't say the wrong thing. I think I found it. It's about a Air Force pilot that was a female going into like the world of Air Force, and she's talking about being a woman and being a strong leader, but also like fearless leadership. That's what it's called, I think. Let me go grab it. Give me 2 seconds.
While she's running around, one of the topics that I've been just sort of hearing people talk about and interested in is the way small colleges are reliant on partnering with different departments and then the role that MOUs can play in that as well. I'm not sure if that's something that most of you are seeing. Again, I hear a couple things and then I always wonder if that's as widespread as I think it might be.
Can you explain what an MOU is in case people are not sure what this, sorry, just because.
No, that's good. What someone in student affairs used jargon and acronyms, shocker. Memorandum of understanding. And I know that is a very vague, what an MOU, memorandum of understanding, will actually look like can be very vague and different from campus to campus as well.
Just an interest, like one of the challenges we're kind of facing right now is the fact that there hasn't been a lot of existing or formalized MOUs with a lot of our partners. So COVID has been a massive time of change, and now we're starting to think maybe we need to start making formalized MOUs or formalize those partnerships a little bit more. So I'd be curious to know if others are feeling that as well.
And we do all of our, anything that has to have MOU has to go through our auxiliary. So I guess it's just, because I've been doing, because of this question, I've been doing research to find out like what is going on with all of ours, and most of them, we have them through the auxiliary. So the auxiliary has a write-up and document, and then the other group that holds our MOUs is our business office. So what I was kind of told by someone, not, anyways, that was not something I need to worry about because all I need to do is run the halls. And I just was like, okay, got it, we're good.
To Steven's point, I always wonder if it's a little bit like, hey, we're all in this together and we're all partners and everything's cool until it's not.
And then you're like, ooh. So when they say just run the halls, I'm like, okay, then I got that in writing. Have a good day. But yeah, we definitely need to look into it more. So it's called The Fearless Leadership, but it's a really good book. My husband's actually read it too. It's about a U.S. Navy first female for the Tomcat fighter pilot. I have a lot of military in my family, so that's why I read some of those. Until it requires money. Dan, snaps to you. Okay, so we've got 9 more minutes. What other things besides like organizational structure, staff burnout, stuff like that, that you guys would like to know about? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I mean, I just have all the topics, right? The other is the topic for the symposium, right? Because we're talking about. How do I put this? Working harder or working more with less. So obviously, you know, like, and I don't know if this is happening at your places. So the first thing that came out last week was our voluntary separation email from HR. So those that want to willingly leave the university, because we have to save $20 million in next year's budget. So I think that, you know, the question is like, after, you know, the beginning of Endgame happens at the institutions, what do small institutions and universities look like when they're working with less resources and or less personnel due to budget cuts? And how are they managing, you know, those responsibilities? And I don't know if that's maybe a roundtable discussion versus a, you know, the person standing up having like a lecture style, but maybe for a roundtable, I thought that might be a good topic of conversation as it's happening.
It is happening at mine. I don't know if, I feel like it's happening at everybody's. Like, we're not having, well, one, they're saying there's not the people to apply for the jobs. So then can you run with this staff? And you're like, well, I don't really have any other choice. So we got this. Which then, yes, it makes it so that staff can develop more areas because we have to do cross training, cross learning, which makes it so they can wear more hats, but also it goes back to the staff burnout. So it's like checking on your staff to see that they're not working crazy amounts of hours just to complete tasks that we need to get done. So I think that's a great one. I did put Linda's comment down, which is, would like to hear your community college viewpoint for different topics. That's a growing area of housing for sure. And what is the Title IX book? Sexual Citizen. I'll write it in. Stephen, if you need a list of books between Robin and I, we probably could get you a decent starting list. And also going back to James' comment, most of the books I own are from the Higher Ed Student Affairs Book Club. And if you go to the ACUHO-I ACE conference, they also have a lot of the books for sale there. And then also they normally let you bid on the series. What is that series called? It's like all those books. It's beautiful.
Campus Housing Management.
There you go. That thing is expensive, but I got it for like half the price one time at ACE.
It was a couple years of my life. You got a bargain.
It is amazing. So it's broken up into different bits. Yes, I did get a bargain. I was shocked no one else was bidding against me. And Liz is my friend who works at University of Miami. I went and bid myself up $50 because I felt bad for the price I was getting it for. So I at least tried to compensate, you know, ACUHO-I. But it's broken up into a lot of different areas. So it's very helpful if you're trying to just look up one area. Also, the library on ACUHO-I's site also is very helpful, and also going back through old talking sticks if you're looking for specific topics or specific things. And a lot of times talking sticks, and James is probably going to be like, Beth, shut up. Talking stick also sometimes will give you other articles to look at or books to read or someone to check out in the field of higher ed. So if there's all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is totally awesome about like remodeling residence halls, it'll tell you who wrote the article and where the article came from. So you can always reach out to those people too. But yes, I like to read. I'm a dork. Oh, also put talking stick on your iPad because it's the same as using like, you know, any other reader. And also if you have an iPad, you can do the talking thing and it can actually read it to you while you're driving, just in case. I didn't know if James knew that. But anyways,
I don't think I did know that.
I sometimes listen to talking stick on the way to work because I have a 25-minute drive.
I'm not gonna lie, I listen to Outlander when I'm coming from work, so.
Is there any other topics that anybody would want to see? And again, the one thing I keep seeing is like mental health for my staff and my students because of the isolation that has been caused by having COVID on campus now for 2 years. I hate saying that, but I feel like it's like a toddler. And I'm hoping it doesn't give us the toddler twos, because if it does, I might just be like, okay, COVID, you can go in the corner now. Yes, I've said that recently to a lot of people, so I apologize. But I am worried about like mental health for my RDs because they've been here through it, living in the halls, and then for also my students. So that's been like where my head has been with a lot of it.
Linda, I had thrown this in the chat, but I was curious about, since you're one here who works at a community college, if there was anything in particular, because I know that's a growing area that we're seeing.
You know, just pretty much everything. I just try to get on and listen. So this inside the state of Washington, we have like 2 schools. We're an old Air Force base, so it's old Air Force barracks with gang style showers. It's no elevator. Yeah, something else. But there's been a preponderance of folks building residence halls and acquiring apartment complexes and even nursing homes to turn into apartment complexes within the community college system. So when I first started in the system in 2005, I think there were 4, and now more than half of our colleges have them. So we're close to 16 to 20 colleges that now have some sort of a residence hall feature. Everything from what training should we provide to keys and key fobs, and do we do background checks on all of our residents? That's been a very recent in our local listserv, and it's like, wow, well, I know I do it for my RAs and my employees, but I never thought to do it for the residents.
So the background question should be asked on your admissions application unless they did something like they did in New York State, which in 2016, they removed the box. It's not a background question. It's mostly, have you ever been convicted of a felony question?
Right.
They removed that. Yeah, they removed that off our admissions app in 2016, but it's now on all housing apps, and then it's on certain majors. So like if you're going to be like doing student teaching or nursing and going out into the community, before you can go on those internships and stuff, you have to answer those questions. But it's actually on our housing app, like, have you ever been convicted of a felony, yes or no? But that's the most, I guess, we dig into their background for the student. And then if they mark yes, we have to go through a process that was designed between our Code of Conduct office, the Provost office, and the academic deans.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 1 amazing minute. And Linda, yes, I would love to talk more about community colleges because I want to get my community colleges from SUNY involved in this more. I've already told 3 of my friends they're going to start joining these things. And they said, what are you gonna do? Come to my office and make me? And I said, I'll drive to Jamestown, don't worry. So we will definitely look at doing these. Would you guys like these monthly, every 3 weeks? Does this time work? Should it be earlier? Should it be later? So I'll start over. Monthly, thumbs up or down? Okay, this time, noon to 1 Eastern time, good or bad? 1 to 2 Eastern time, good or bad? Okay, or 11 to 12 Eastern time, good or bad? Okay, so 1 to 2 or 12 to 1 or 1 to 2. I just don't want to make it too early because I'm hoping we get more West Coast people involved. We've had West Coast people on other committees with me, and I feel so bad because it's like 9 o'clock their time. And I'm like, come bring your coffee, I'll bring my lunch, we'll talk. So I'll look at the 12 to 1, the 1 to 2 window, and we'll start moving these to monthly. Okay, so I hope to see you all at the Small College Symposium. If you need anything, please reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat really quick so everybody has it.
I will do the same.
But feel free to reach out to me if you need books or knowledge, or if you think we should start a book club for small colleges and universities. I am on board. As you all can tell, I have a problem. And we can figure everything out and it'll be wonderful. But thank you all for coming today.
Right. And if you have an interest in getting more involved with helping plan the symposium or any of the other ideas that we were thrown out there, or if you have an idea that we didn't throw out there, we're starting, you know, I don't want to say square one, but we're near the beginning. So that we can use that as a good sign that we have a lot of room to take things in different directions and try things and be adventuresome with it. So again, I'm very happy to see everybody out here today. And hopefully we will continue to keep up the good conversations. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Training is difficult.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys. Have a great
I'll tell Glenn
day.
you say hi, James.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.